Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. Welcome to the Berkeley County Board of Education meeting this Tuesday. I don't know what the day is, December 12th, 2017. I call this meeting to order. I declare a quorum is present and the media has been notified. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So move.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McQuillan, a second by Mr. Barrow to approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion passes. We'll now stand for the Pledge of Allegiance in a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll now move to Agenda Item 1D, the approval of the minutes for the regular meeting, November 14th, 2017. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McQuillan, a second by Ms. Conder. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. We'll now move on to Agenda Item 1E, the approval of the minutes for the board workshop on November 28th,
So moved.
2017.
Second.
There's a motion by Ms. Conder, a second by Mr. McQuillan. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. We'll now move to Agenda Item 2A, the Head Start information. Is there a motion?
Make the motion.
Second.
There is a motion to approve the Head Start Budget Expenditures Report for October 2017, the Head Start Credit Card Report for October 2017, and prospective new hires. Motion by Mr. Ramsey, second by Mr. McQuillan. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. We'll now move on to Agenda Item 3A, Citizens' Comments. In order to conduct the meeting in an orderly and efficient manner, we ask that you honor the following guidelines. Stakeholder comments are welcomed and encouraged. However, the board will not take immediate action on public comments at this meeting. Any person wishing to address the board must register prior to the meeting. Comments must be regarding programs, policies, or procedures. Comments regarding complaints against employees other than district-level executives or references to students other than the child of the speaker will not be heard in public session. Groups addressing the same topic should select one speaker. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per speaker. The board chair reserves the right to allot additional time or halt public comments that do not adhere to the guidelines. We would like to invite Ms. Nancy Larson for the League of Women Voters sponsoring a workshop to generate interest in school board work to the podium. Ms. Larson, thank you for coming.
Thank you. I am Nancy Larson. I'm representing the League of Women Voters. And as you know, we're a nonpartisan group, but we do take positions, and one of our strongest is about education. And we state that public education is essential for a strong, viable, and sustainable democratic society. In Berkeley, Charleston, and Dorchester, 113,000 students presently count on our public schools. There are future voters, there are future workforce. So whatever other opportunities for education exist, most of our people are educated in public schools. So for this reason, we as a league want to see the public more engaged in their public schools. We want them to invest their attention, their time, their talents. We want them to be more like you and be involved in public education. So for that reason, recognizing the importance of the work you do, we are going to host a workshop for people interested in finding out about public schools and running for public schools in our 3-county area. It's going to be February 24th. It's going to be at the Charleston County Council Chamber in North Charleston. It'll be from 10 o'clock until noon. Scott Price, the executive director of the South Carolina School Board Association, will be our keynote. And we're hoping to not just have candidates, but people who would be interested in supporting those candidates come out for that workshop. The league will not endorse candidates, but we hope to inform them and help them be better candidates. We also want to increase awareness. We want to engage people, and we want people to get out and vote for school board, since it's one of the most important local elections they can have. So if you know people who want to be interested in education advocacy, please direct them to us. I thank you very much for your time, your work.
Thank you very much. Next, I'd like to invite Mr. Jackson for the operations and administration, starting off with agenda item 4A.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Dr. Ingram, members of the board. Tonight, we have an opportunity to honor a person that's really considered a pillar of our community. This past summer, Ms. Laura Kelly was approached by the Goose Creek Alumni Association classes 1970 to 1975 with a request to name a road after the school's first principal, Goose Creek High School's first principal. The request included a brief bio of Mr. Harry D. Calvert and some of his notable accomplishments, like the fact that he was an Army veteran, that he spent 30 plus years in education in Berkeley County School District, served as principal of Boulder Bluff Elementary, Menriv Elementary, and was the first principal of Goose Creek High School. He was promoted to Central Services in 1973 and spent more than 20 years there. During his career, he was extremely active in the community as well and continues to remain active in the community to this day. And he remains in touch with his former students even to this day and has never missed a class reunion, according to the Alumni Association. So in October, we held a meeting at Goose Creek High School, and where Ms. Washington, the school's principal, decided Mr. Calvert's name should be in a more prominent location than in the strip in front of the school. And she decided that she was trying to find a name for the school's auditorium and figured that was the perfect location. It was a way to honor the school's history and Mr. Calvert while moving forward in Goose Creek's new direction. At this time, if you don't mind, I'd like to invite Ms. Washington and also a principal of Goose Creek High School, and also Mr. Wayne Cook, who's going to represent the Alumni Association, to the podium to give a few brief remarks.
Good evening, Madam Chair, board members, and Dr. Ingram. It's truly an honor to be able to continue the legacy of Goose Creek High School. Mr. Calvert was instrumental in establishing the pride, the commitment, and the excellence that we still stand for today at our school. Our auditorium is used not only by Goose Creek High School, but by our feeder schools, the community, and what better place to highlight the accomplishments of Mr. Calvert than the Goose Creek High School auditorium. Mr. Cook.
Madam Chair and board members, this was just dropped on me today, but I should be used to it by now. I didn't have anything prepared, but I don't really have to prepare anything for this. The class of 1970 through 75, the alumni, please stand. You know, classes, alumni give things back to the school, and over the years, and we've been a long time before we have done anything. And the classes of 1970 through 75 have always been together as a group. It was a small school, basically military, and they were biggest part of them was moving in and out. So in order for us to have a decent reunion and a good time, we have all these classes together, and we have a wonderful time. And we wanted to give something back to the school. But we really couldn't come up with anything except one thing. And there was a man, was a building block for all of us. There's none, I don't believe there is a person in the school. I know that there's not a person in the school from 70 to 75 that has a negative thing. This man has never, I've never in my life heard him say a negative thing. He has completely dedicated his life to the school, to his family, to his friends, and he continues to do so. This man, I can't even remember half my classmates, but I've never been anywhere that Mr. Calvert was that he didn't greet every individual that he saw by their name, even their children. The man is just so dedicated, and so we felt that what we wanted to give back to Goose Creek was Mr. Calvert. And to do that, we wanted something named after Mr. Calvert that would be a meaning to him, to us, to school, and something that could always be remembered because he's dedicated his whole life. So we appreciate y'all considering this, and I'm lost for words.
Ladies and gentlemen, if he's lost for words, I'm beyond that. My daughter asked me if I would escort her tonight to the board meeting, that the board was going to recognize some teachers that had come back after they had retired in teaching of the year or for a time. Well, you know, I said I'd be happy to come back because it's been a while since I've been to the board meeting. So I'm sitting back there minding my own business, you know, and I see one of my former employees and one of my closest friends, I guess, and he says, "Congratulations." Well, I don't remember doing anything that I needed congratulating for recently, so I kind of passed it off, and then someone else came in and said it's a great night, and Brother Dave came in, whom I hired in '69 as a coach and biology teacher at Goose Creek High School, and he was telling me about it was going to be a great night for Goose Creek High, and you know, every night's a good night for Goose Creek High. And Wayne knows he shouldn't have let me sit up here because I could talk all night. So I said, well, and then I told my wife, she'll kill me when I get home. She said, I looked up and she's walking in the door. I left her at home in her nightgown with rolled curls in her hair. And I'm looking at my watch. 5 o'clock, and my wife is taking her bath. She got curls in her hair. What in the heck's going on here? And my daughter shows up from Raleigh, North Carolina this morning. Yeah, dumb me, you know. I didn't, you know, I guess I've never thought anything. I never deserve anything to be named after me anyway. If Mr. Wright was here, I could ask him why they didn't name the outhouse that we built at Cainhoy after me one time when I requested it. I thought that would have been appropriate at the time. But and Mr. Wright can tell you about that when you see him again. But I am totally shocked, and and I am so humbled that my kids, and I always call them my kids, would think that much about me. I told Gene yesterday, Gene Sims, saw him in the barber shop. I was getting my hair cut. It was kind of getting right fuzzy, and that people hadn't seen me with a beard on before. But several months ago, I decided I'd got this thing grow out a little bit, and I heard somebody in the chair next to me tell my barber, said, "That man needs a shave." And I turned around, look, and it was Gene Sims over there. So someone asked me about it a while ago and asked me about my beard, and I said, well, Jimmy Henson calls me an old goat. So I thought I'd go ahead and grow me one of these things and see if I could act like one, see what happened. But I'll tell you, I came here with my wife and my first daughter, Diane, who is teaching, in 1962 to Berkeley County. And I always told people I didn't leave Berkeley County because they didn't pay me enough money to pay for me to move anywhere else. But from the day one that I came here, I said this is where I believe God wants me to be here. And I've stayed all these years. I don't regret living in Goose Creek for all my life, all my educational life. I worked out of the office next door over here for about 20 years. Of all things, as most everybody knows, I took care of the finance, which is a bad word in Berkeley County. And I'll be honest with you, I hired the man that's in jeopardy right now. He worked for me for 1 year. He did a good job. I would not have hired him had I known, but I take no pride in what I read about today. I think honor, country, and family goes next to God. There's nothing that you can do in this life that means any more than working with kids. I don't care who you are or what you do. If you don't have the time to stop and talk and encourage young people, this country is going down the chute in a hurry. Because what we do today, what we've done, I'm so proud of these people that I had contact with and what they're doing in our communities and our state. They're just amazing to me. They'll always be as close as my family to me. And I know I should, if I had time, like I said, I could talk a long time. But first, I thank God for letting me be an old country farm boy who had no idea of wanting to go to college, finally went into the Army and came back and decided to get into education, probably because my oldest brother was a teacher and my coach in high school. And I probably followed in his footsteps. But I thank God for letting me have the family that I had, my own personal family, my mom and dad, for being splendid, uneducated Christian people who always told me, son, you can be whatever you want to be. And coming from a sharecropper who my dad had a 7th grade education, and he still is the smartest man I ever met. And my mother, who had a 3rd grade education, was the sweetest, kindest person I've ever known. And plowing an old mule through a cotton patch in a cornfield, and going to college and working in education with kids. I just thank God that He led me in that direction. And I thank my dear wife, who has stood by me for 58 years. no matter how much problems I've caused her, and Lord knows there's been a lot, she stood by me, supported me, believed in me, and gave us 2 beautiful daughters. One's a pharmacist, and one followed in my footsteps as a teacher. And my 5 grandchildren, Brandon and Brittany, are with us tonight. I have one granddaughter in California, doing her doctorate in sociology or something that I don't know anything about. Brandon, who is a junior, senior, whatever, at Goose Creek High School, and a grandson at USC who will graduate this year, magna cum laude, or laude how come, I don't know, I can't figure out it. And my other grandson with Debbie, who stayed in Raleigh and still in Raleigh. But I think for my family, I appreciate them standing by me and support me. And let me say to everyone, this is an honor that I'd never expected, nor I would say do I deserve, because I tried to do what the people and what I tried to discipline those who will tell you that I had a good paddle. Somebody told me, he told someone, my barber, that I used my first new paddle on him, which I probably did, knowing Gene. But seeing Cliff in the audience too, I'd have to toss the coin to see which one was in the office the most at the time. I think it probably Cliff was, because Gene was a good boy. And Cliff went into law enforcement, so I must have done something for him anyway. But I thank everybody for this honor, and it is indeed an honor. Thank you.
All right, so to make it official, we prepared a proclamation in which Mr. Barrow is going to read for us.
Being an elected official, I have to say a few words before I read this proclamation. Harry, thanks for hiring me 48 years ago to Berkeley County School District. And also, thank you for allowing me to get drafted into the United States Army in 1970. I say that with all reverence and due respect because I needed that. But thank you for rehiring me in 1972 when I finished my tour of the Old Guard in Arlington National Cemetery and returning me to the biology classroom, where I went into administration 41 years later, retired. But thanks also to Wayne and Leslie and Jean and Debbie and Cliff, Kathleen, Ms. Washington, thank you for your splendid suggestion for the auditorium. That was a magnificent thought, and we appreciate that very much. And I know Harry will see his name, and I'm sure Mr. Jackson will let us know when that moment arises so we can have the dedication there. But also, thank you to Mr. Jackson for spearheading this from the district. Thank you for Miss Kelly. She's not here tonight. She's sick. She was instrumental in helping us get this passed through the board. And now I'll read the proclamation. It's rather lengthy. A proclamation honoring the public service of Harry D. Calvert and naming the auditorium of Goose Creek High School as the Harry D. Calvert Auditorium. Whereas Mr. Harry D. Calvert, born on July 26, 1936, the 11th child born to John Earl and Sonny Nichols in Spartanburg, South Carolina, He graduated from Boiling Springs High School in 1953, joined the United States Army, and served his country until 1956. He is married to Maxine Gosnell, has 2 wonderful daughters and 5 grandchildren who are the apples of his eye. And whereas in 1962, Harry D. Calvert received his undergraduate degree from Limestone College and began his career as a teacher at Goose Creek Elementary until 1964. Whereas in 1965, Harry D. Calvert received his master's degree from Western Carolina and earned his first principal's assignment at Boulder Bluff Elementary, where he there inspired the youth to be better individuals and motivated them to succeed. Whereas in 1967-68, Harry D. Calvert embarked on another journey as principal at Menriv Elementary School. And whereas in 1969, Harry D. Calvert became the first principal of Goose Creek High School. During his tenure, he strived to make a difference in so many lives. Mr. Calvert made sure he was always available to his students and faculty until he retired in 1973. His influence abetted many to become successful individuals. And whereas Mr. Calvert continued his educational journey as the Director of Buildings and Grounds from 1973 to 1993. He served as the Associate Superintendent of Business Administration from 1980 to 1987. And whereas he further served the Berkeley County School District from 1987 to 1994 as the Assistant Superintendent of Fiscal Affairs, and later served as Deputy Superintendents over Maintenance and Athletic Departments and Food Services. And whereas, in addition to his service to the Berkeley County School District, Mr. Calvert continues to mold young minds as he serves as a volunteer with the area Cub Scouts. And whereas Mr. Calvert attends Peace Presbyterian Church and is a member of the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, the Goose Creek Masonic Lodge, and the Shriners, he is most proud to be a member of the Goose Creek Alumni Association classes 1970 through 75, to which he has been an active member from the association's inception. Now, whereas, therefore be it resolved that the Berkeley County School Board hereby honors the service and dedication of a great Berkeley County leader, Harry D. Calvert. Now, therefore, be it further resolved that Edward Ingram, Superintendent of Berkeley County School District, be authorized to name the auditorium of Goose Creek High School as the Harry D. Calvert Auditorium. Madam Chair, I make a motion to name the auditorium of Goose Creek High School as the Harry D. Calvert Auditorium.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Barrow, a second by Mr. Ramsey, to name the auditorium of Goose Creek High School as Harry D. Calvert Auditorium. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Nay. You got yourself an auditorium.
Family of Mr. Calvert.
Yeah, we want all of the classes 70 through 75. We want them all. Come on, don't be bashful. Y'all are bashful to go up to the bar at the reunion, so come on up.
Reptiles.
Everybody's close. Now I want you to get a little bit closer, like you really care about each other.
Feel the love, y'all. Feel the love.
All of us are ready for it. You said that you stole our heart.
Go ahead and write it. Good to see you.
No, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for supporting Goose Creek High School.
Well, I'll break it off on them so bad. Because they thought we were on the intimidated.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Fuel 5.
Thank you.
Is it already loaded at the bottom? Is my presentation loaded at the bottom?
We are quite glad to have you attend and stay at the meeting with us, but if you only came for the special recognition, now would be a wonderful time for you to go enjoy and celebrate. Congratulations to Goose Creek High School, and thank you, Mr. Calvert, for countless hours of service.
Hey, good job, Wayne. Thank y'all.
Thank you. I hate to hold people hostage. Next, we'll go back to Mr. Jackson for Agenda Item 4B, the first reading of attendance lines proposal for Fox Bank Elementary School.
Madam Chair, I think we should just keep doing more of the same.
I'll say celebrating and
Keep celebrating. Come to you tonight with the proposed attendance lines for Fox Bank Elementary. As we know, Fox Bank Elementary is one of the two elementary schools that will be opening in the fall of 2018. The other being Bowen's Corner, which the attendance lines for Bowen's Corner have already been established. So we're here tonight to discuss the Fox Bank attendance lines. So just a few quick notes about the establishing attendance lines and the process. So some of the considerations, you good? Some of the things we take under consideration are school capacity, the current enrollment, any natural or man-made boundaries that we might be able to use, neighborhood or subdivision lines, more so property lines, transportation routes, the logistics of getting students to and from school, and then also population, new development, things of that sort. We also solicit input and feedback from board members, principals, district office staff, community stakeholders, parents, etc. And then the schools that will be impacted based on establishing these attendance lines are Cane Bay Elementary, Whitesville Elementary, Boulder Bluff, and Fox Bank, obviously. So this is a wide angle shot, if you will, of the north, I guess the mid area of Berkeley County. So in the yellow, we have the Cane Bay Elementary attendance zone. In the teal, that is Whitesville's attendance zone. Up here in the, I guess, lavender color, that's Berkeley Elementary, Berkeley Intermediate. And down here, I guess this is a peach color, that is Boulder Bluff. Sometimes you do. The hash marks are the proposed Fox Bank Elementary attendance zones. So we'll zoom in a little bit, and it's a little clearer. Just of note, nothing is touched in the teal area. So the areas that we're talking about, again, Whitesville, Cane Bay Elementary, Boulder Bluff, and Fox Bank. So just to kind of orient yourself, this line here, this highlights where 176 is. This is 176 going, I guess, more north-south. This is Highway 17A. This is Cypress Gardens Road going horizontal across the screen. And then towards the middle of the picture going north-south is Highway 52, just to kind of orient yourself a little bit. And again, the teal is Whitesville, the yellow goldish color is Cane Bay Elementary, and the peach is Boulder Bluff. The hashed area is the proposed Fox Bank Elementary attendance zone. Our community engagement efforts, we had 2 drop-ins. We had one at Whitesville Elementary, and we had the other at Cane Bay Elementary. It had decent turnout considering the weather. Something that we did different this time around, we engaged our community through social media, and it was more than just a one-way. We put information out there. We actually got some questions back, and then we didn't wait until the meetings to unveil the attendance zones. We released those attendance zones via social media and allowed folks to view those proposed attendance zones and submit questions. So this snapshot here is from probably about a week ago, where there were 58 comments, there were 37 shares, and there were a ton of views. So it got a lot of traffic. So I think that kind of curbed the attendance that we would normally see at these attendance meetings. Then actually, based on a suggestion that we had, both through social media and through a parent asking a question, this area up in here is this is the Strawberry area, and it's in Boulder Bluffs, currently in Boulder Bluffs attendance zone. And the question was asked, could that area not be zoned for Fox Bank because the proximity, it's much closer to Fox Bank. And after examining the area and looking at the number of students that are actually residing in that area, it actually made sense to zone those students in that area to Fox Bank. So that was a change that was made based on the feedback that we received from the community. So I will leave this here just for a little bit, just to kind of orient yourself a little bit. This is Fox Bank. The attendance line for Fox Bank, it kind of cuts across there. It follows a property line just north of Fox Bank and expands all the way to the water and comes down near the Bushy Park area. Also of note, where it interacts with the current Cane Bay Elementary attendance line, that's a portion of the Wynwood area. So at this time, the administration is requesting that the board approve the first reading of the Fox Bank Elementary attendance lines.
I move to adopt the proposed attendance lines for Fox Bank Elementary School as presented by the administration for first reading, with recommended changes to take effect in the fall of 2018. There's a motion by Walford, a second by Mr. McQuillan. Are there any questions or discussion for Mr. Jackson?
I have a couple of questions. Mr. Jackson, what is the, I'm sure you've done some research on the number of students that A, will be assigned to this school, and B, the impact upon the other elementary schools that are being impacted attendance-wise?
Yes, sir. So, knew you would ask that. I have it right here. As of now, the projected number of students that will be enrolled at Fox Bank based on these attendance lines, and this is based on the most recent data set that we have. We're in the process of updating it as we as we speak, but it's 760 students will be enrolled into Fox Bank Elementary.
Okay, good. Which schools, I know which ones will be impacted, but will it be a major impact to lessen the amount of students in those highly impacted areas, such as Cane Bay?
For example, Whitesville Elementary is projected to be relieved of 401 students. Cane Bay Elementary is projected to be relieved of approximately 200 students. Those are the two largest. And with Bodo Bluff, it's around 30 students, approximately 30 students.
So this probably eliminates the need for future expansion in those buildings, in those current elementary schools, or perhaps not? Well,
I think at Whitesville, if these changes are adopted for Fox Bank, the remaining attendance zone for Whitesville would be described as built out. So we will be safe there. I believe their enrollment is projected to go down to approximately 879 students. So yes, for Whitesville Elementary, not for Cane Bay. The rate of growth in the Cane Bay area is just too much to say that we wouldn't need some sort of action taken in that area to address the growth there.
Thank you for that.
In my personal opinion, that area, we're going to need to look at another elementary school and middle school very, very soon. I mean, 200 kids is not even a drop in the bucket for
Yes.
what they need.
Yes, ma'am. In the Cane Bay development alone, they're closing on anywhere between 350 to 550 homes per year, and it has been that way for the past 3 to 4 years. And there are no signs of slowing down. And I know we're here to talk about Fox Bank, but since we're talking about Cane Bay a little bit, just across 176 or State Road, just across from the Cane Bay development, Nexton is starting another phase, and those homes are flying off. They can't close on them fast enough, according to the developer. So you are correct. We're going to need some action out there.
My other question is about this entire elementary school will feed into Berkeley Middle and to Berkeley High, or will the middle school split?
So it will split once they start going to middle school. And the reason is this. So the middle school's attendance zones remain the same. The high school's attendance zones remain the same. The reason why we did that is because Berkeley Middle is
jam-packed.
Jam-packed.
I was concerned about how you would add a couple hundred extra
correct.
kids to Berkeley Middle because they're full.
Right.
They're past capacity.
So we didn't make any recommended changes to the middle school attendance zones or the high school attendance zones for that matter.
Is there any other discussion or questions for Mr. Jackson? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion passes first reading. We'll now move on to academic services. We have a couple of local board-approved courses. Dr. O'Gorman, welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Ingram, ladies and gentlemen. We have bring before you three courses for local board approval. The first is Steel Drums 2 College Prep, Steel Drums 3 College Prep and Honors, Steel Drums 4 College Prep and Honors. Steel Drums 1 has been in Berkeley County as a locally approved course by the board. And what we want to do is expand the offerings of that course beyond just the level 1. So at this time, I'd like to request that you approve courses Steel Drums 2 College Prep, Steel Drums 3 and 4 College Prep and Honors for elective credit as submitted.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve.
Second. There's a motion by Mr. McQuillan, a second by Wofford. Are there any questions or discussion about steel drums? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay.
Thank you.
No steel drums.
Moving on to Creative Writing 2 College Prep and Honors. This has been taught in Berkeley County School District for quite a few years. It is not currently in the South Carolina Department of Education Activity Coding System. We would like to continue to offer this in Berkeley County. So at this time, I request that you approve Creative Writing 2 College Prep and Honors for elective credit as submitted.
Madam Chairwoman, motion to approve courses Creative Writing, 2 CP and Honors for elective credit as submitted by administration.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Ramsey, a second by Mr. McQuillan. Any questions or discussion about creative writing? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. On to agenda item 5C.
Thank you. And finally, African American Studies College Prep. This has been offered in Berkeley County before. It's lapsed a couple of years, so it's got to come back before you for local board approval. We have a request from 3 schools to teach African American Studies. So at this time, I would ask that you approve African American Studies for elective credit as submitted.
So moved.
Second. There's a motion by Mr. Wofford. Mr. McQuillan, hey, not Mr. Wofford. He's at home. Actually, he's eating wings at Breck's. He's doing something way better. All right, sorry. There is a motion by Mr. McQuillan, a second by Wofford, to approve African American Studies for elective credit as submitted by administration. Is there any discussion or question?
Just a question or two. High school only? High school elective credit?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any change in the curriculum or the plan to the studies? Any change in the curriculum? It was offered before. Any changes in the curriculum?
Correct. No major changes.
Okay.
What you said 3 schools had requested it. What 3 do you have those?
Cross High School, Berkeley Alternative, and Goose Creek High School.
Any other questions? No further discussion. We'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Thank you very much, Dr. O'Gorman.
Thank you. And I'm going to call up Mr. Snyder, if I can get his presentation going for you.
Madam Chair, board members, Dr. Ingram, how are you? Good. I'm here this evening to give the teacher forum update. And so I just want to start off by saying thanks to the board and for the district. It's become apparent to me, when I first won the honor, had the honor of the district teacher for this past year, I was totally I had no clue about teacher forum, really, what it represented or anything like that. And I've learned quite a bit, but as I've met people from other districts, it has become apparent to me that Berkeley County has one of the best, if not the best, teacher forums across the state. And we have a lot of participants from all the different schools and all the grades. So we appreciate the support that we continue to get from that and the teacher voice that we get to have. Just as a quick review of our vision, I know this is kind of small here, but we have some areas of focus as part of our vision. And so I'll kind of, the highlighted parts here are sort of those focal points, kind of the key words. We have one of our goals, effective communication, unified curriculum assessments and learning communities. We have a focus on current legislative issues, teacher morale, and then special events. So the first thing I'd like to talk to you about is some of the committees. Each of those things I just read are represented in Teacher Forum by different committees of some of the members. So we have these groups right now: special events, teacher advocacy, curriculum and instruction, community and outreach, political action, scholarship and fundraising. And these committees have been working very diligently even since the summertime, taking on a number of different tasks for our district and for our teachers. For example, just a few weeks ago, we did a drive where all the teachers from across the schools donated items, gently used, not the trashy stuff from the closet that's been in there for 20 years or something, but gently used or even brand new things. And we were able to give those. We had kind of a shopping opportunity for our Pride teachers, our new teachers in the district, who, anyone who's been in education, those first few years you have not a whole lot of things for your room. So we had probably 30 or 40 boxes of materials for those, and so the teachers were all very excited about that. We have representation right now on the Teacher Evaluation Business Committee, which is that committee is over the implementation of the new evaluation system that's coming in. So Teacher Forum has a say, has some representation on that. We're also working very, very diligently right now on the conference for February, the Be the One conference. We have a lot of members at work, and I'll get into that in a little bit. So the committees are continuing to work on building funds for teacher scholarships and instructional materials, and there's a new program this year that's we're working out some of the kinks, but I think it's been successful, and Sharon was just sharing some of the success she heard from her school in this, which is our BCSD Profile of an Educator program, where our committee is recognizing a different teacher from various schools, depending on the month. This is not like Teacher of the Year or anything. It's just a recognition of someone who's doing amazing things at that school, and so as part of that, they get recognized at the school level with a certificate and picture and things like that. But they're also the district was able to give some Kindle Fires towards those, and each teacher gets one of those. So it's a pretty cool honor for them. I just chose our teacher from Cane Bay. It was the certificate that I had easily accessible. So this is what the certificate looked like. I collected quotes from her peers, her colleagues. I also collected quotes from her students. We put this in a frame for her, presented it to her with the Kindle Fire. So a nice recognition, and this is all driven by the committees of Teacher Forum. So going back to the conference that's going to be held in February, depending on the length of time you've been with us, you may be familiar with it or maybe not, but this is a one-day conference that's going to take place in February. It's going to be housed at all three of the Cane Bay schools, and we're working on traffic patterns and ways to alleviate all of those issues. We're working with people from the district to help with that. We're going to have a variety of vendors accessible. The Curriculum and Instruction Committee is working closely. We're excited about some of the sessions we're going to offer. One of the big things that we've been talking about are vertical articulation meetings. We're trying to set up some sessions for middle schools to talk to high schools and elementary schools, to talk to middle schools in the core area, subject core, so we get some more vertical alignment. And it's not just those grade level PLCs, which are good, but also that that vertical discussion happening. Also, some opportunities for one-to-one discussions and implementation, some sessions on those types of things. And this is the design every year, or every conference. They have a design for the T-shirt that they sell. So this is a design. We're pretty excited this year. We took a number of submissions from across the district, teachers, students, and the winning submission, which is the one you see here, was actually from a student from Goose Creek High, Jessica Armenta, and her teachers, Bruce Walls. And this was the design that's going to be on our T-shirts for the teachers to be able to purchase, for everybody to be a part. And all of the money raised from the T-shirts goes towards scholarships that we give back into the teachers, so they can apply for those scholarships to, you know, do field trips or buy things for their classes, those types of things. Second thing I wanted to talk about to you in the update tonight, I had a chance to attend the conference for all the district teachers of the year in North Myrtle Beach. That was at the beginning of November, so got some photo ops here with, that's our state superintendent, and then on the right-hand side is actually the lady to my left is the current South Carolina State Teacher of the Year. The lady on my right is the National Teacher of the Year. She was a keynote speaker. So I got to see those and meet all the district teachers from the different districts. The main topic of the conference that I wanted to bring back and share with you, as I'm sure most people, anyone who is up to date on education in our state, was teacher recruitment and retention. And I don't know what you've seen, but I brought back a few of the numbers that they shared. And this wasn't just an information dump. I mean, we were trying to, you know, discuss what we thought about the process as teacher leaders. But I'll run through a few of these. Right now, the latest numbers are showing roughly, you know, just a little bit under 2,000 new teachers being produced from our colleges and universities in South Carolina, which that number has decreased. But nearly 6,500 school district and teachers did not return to the same positions last year in the state, which was a 21% increase from 2015 and 16. Of the teachers who left, they talked about leaving for other teaching positions, personal reasons, and then retirees as well. I thought these were some interesting statistics here. Of the teachers who had left the 2015-16 year, 12% of those had taught 1 year or less. 38% had taught 5 or fewer years. And last year, at the beginning of the school year in the state, we opened with 481 teaching vacancies across the entire state. That's not a body to be had in that classroom. And just the number of certified teachers who did not return to any teaching position, you kind of see how this number is slowly going up in the wrong direction. We did talk a lot about, in my opinion, the state is doing a lot of great things, and districts are doing a lot of great things for recruitment. I think retention, there's a lot to be worked on in that area, in my opinion. But these were some of the programs that we talked about: Pro Team, Teacher Cadets, Teaching Fellows, Call Me Mister, PACE, CTE. We've got a lot of those things. Teach for America. We've seen a lot of these, but that's more of the recruitment aspect. And so, last thing I want to say, just as one thing that I came away from with, for anyone in positions of leadership, such as yourselves, I think a big thing for teacher recruitment and retention right now is, because everyone wants to talk about money and salary and those types of things. That's what we immediately go directly to most of the time. But most people who come into education understand what they're going to be making. We know that part. We understand it. I feel like a large part of this is that the people who come in have a certain passion and a purpose that they come in with. And so I guess kind of my challenge to you, and I know a lot of this is at the state level and the federal level as well, but we need to do everything possible to not squash that passion and purpose from our teachers. And I think that we can overlook many things when it comes to salaries and to paperwork and some of these things, but there are a lot of things that just suck the life out of our teachers, and it helps it takes away some of those reasons that they got in there too. So I just kind of leave you with that challenge. I know you're not directly involved in all of those things, but sometimes you have a say in it, and I think it's important to remember that aspect. So any questions?
I think it actually dovetails. We actually had a board workshop the Tuesday after Thanksgiving where we talked about pushing teachers to teach to a test and what that does for passion and what our vision is as a school board. Not to steal Dr. Ingram's thunder, but the cabinet has done quite a bit of work as well, and realized that the board and the cabinet, I think we had 5 of the 6 same shared values as we were working through the shared values process. So I think the intent is there. Now we have to figure out, how do you make that a reality in a classroom? I don't want to just sit up here and dream it. I have to create a way to facilitate it and allow principals to facilitate it, so they're not constantly teaching to the test. But we have a lot of very creative ideas. We're just going to keep pushing forward, and there's a lot of hours to try to keep it working. But we're bringing the consultants back. First meeting in January is going to be another marathon where we're trying to really think about 21st century education. So
we appreciate that, and I'm sure Teacher Forum would love to be a part of anything you want us to in that capacity.
Yeah, we're very cognizant of, and we had stayed here a long time, and we're joking a lot, but your board members called standardized tests all kinds of things but good. And we just really don't want that to be what you're forced to or pushed to, or the thing that squeezes the life out of you. So I think we feel it now. We're trying to be creative on how we make it happen in real life in a classroom every day.
Thank you.
I would just like to add that I feel like the teachers that we have here in Berkeley County are excellent, and just be patient with your board. We're behind you 100%, and we want you to be creative. We want you to have that autonomy in the classroom. But like what Chairman Wofford said, it's going to take a little bit of effort on the board's part to try to come up with some ways to circumvent the standardized testing and allow you to get back to the business of teaching.
Thank you.
I'd like to say we're also committed as a board to make sure that we're not only just competitive with Dorchester and Charleston. I feel like we need to be a change agent and be a leader in making sure that our teachers are comfortable financially in terms of other districts, but also I feel it's imperative that there be a ground-up movement from the teachers to actually have a dialogue and a discussion with their building-level administrators, and then to the cabinet level and then to the board about what suggestions and ideas, because they're the ones that have the ideas that may keep them in the profession. So and I'm sure the other board members are on board with this, I'd like to hear some of the groundwork, the swell of ideas and thoughts that are being initiated at each school level and each middle level, each elementary level, high school level, to try to help us and assist us in making decisions that actually affect them directly.
I'll email you a list tonight. I'm just kidding.
Any other questions or comments?
Thank
you so much. We'll now move on to financial services. Ms. Smith.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Ingram. The first item is RFP 523-1718 for K-12 enrollment forecasting facilities assessment and optimization plan to be awarded to Numerex LLC. This term contract is necessary to provide the district with a strategic partner to help build a multi-year facility optimization plan to address the needs related to due to the increase in student population brought about by the population growth in Berkeley County. This effort will aid the district's ability to improve existing facilities and strategically locate new facilities to optimize services and programs for our increasing student population. The final plan will also help the district determine the current state of existing facilities and plan for needed repairs and renovations when developing a strategic plan for capital improvements. The RFP is a 5-year term contract with a 1-year initial term with 4 one-year renewals. However, it has the option to be extended for 2 one-year periods for a maximum term of 7 years if needed. Ongoing work shall be provided based on the number of hours for any assigned related task for a fee of $100 an hour. This was necessary to help allow flexibility for the district to respond to fluctuations and projections over the long term and make adjustments to meet the growing and changing needs of Berkeley County School District and its student population. Capital funds will pay for these expenses incurred under this contract since the work directly correlates to prioritizing and identifying improvements to district facilities as well as identification of locations for new facilities over the next several years. We are asking you to award RFP 523-1718 for services related to K-12 enrollment forecasting, facilities assessment, and optimization planning as a maximum 7-year term contract to Numerix LLC for a cost of $32,500 for the initial project, with other related work to be billed as $100 per hour as needed during the contract term.
Madam Chairman. I make a motion to award RFP number 523-1718 for services related to K-12 enrollment, forecasting, facilities assessment, and optimization planning as a maximum 7-year term contract to Numerix LLC for a cost of $32,500 for the initial project, with other related work to be billed at $100 per hour as needed during the contract term.
Second. I screw up when I say my own name. There's a motion by Ms. Conder, a second by Wofford. Is there any discussion?
Yes. What database are these folks going to draw from in terms of their enrollment forecasting and projections? And who are they going to be working with in terms of the cabinet level? I'm sure there'll be a cabinet level individual supervising this.
Yes, sir. So this contractor will work directly with me and also members of the maintenance department, i.e. David and Wayne, which you've met and will meet again in January. But as far as what data sets they will be working with, they'll have to work with the Office of Technology as well. They'll be engaged in Power School, and then also through the county's GIS system, because all of the information has to be linked.
Right. What about the facilities assessment? Is that Dr. Parker is going to be involved with that in his firm?
Well, Dr. Parker is providing, and his firm is providing some guidance through that process, but it's mainly Wayne Evans and David Hogue that are spearheading that effort. To collect that data and then to organize that data and collect the data, organize the data, and to create that report. So he's guiding the process, but it's mainly David and Wayne that are putting that information together.
Well, they're very competent folks. I know them well, and I'm sure they'll do a good job supervising.
Well, absolutely, and we'll talk a little bit more about that part of it in January, but you know, the fact of the matter is I'm sorry, I'm taking over your agenda item, but they're doing a tremendous job, and honestly, had we contracted that job out, they would have to do the same sort of information. So.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions or discussion? Thank you. Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. We'll move on to agenda item 6B.
Our second item is IFB number 524-1718, infield clay mix to be awarded to American Materials Company, doing business as Glasscock Company. Each year, Facilities and Maintenance replenishes and services the high school baseball and softball fields, which requires application of new clay. This IFB is for five-year term contract with a 1-year initial term with 4 one-year renewals. With the addition of Philip Simmons High, it is estimated that the total contract value should be $100,000 for the full 5-year term. The general fund will primarily fund the purchases against this contract. However, some purchases may be used for made using school activity or capital funds. We are asking you to award IFB 524-1718 for infield clay mix as a maximum 5-year term contract to American Materials Company for a first-year cost of $17,500 and a total potential of $100,000 over the full contract term.
I move that we award IFB 524-1718 for infield clay mix as a maximum 5-year contract to American Materials Company doing business as Glasscock Company for a first-year cost of $17,500 and a total potential value of $100,000 over the full contract term.
Second.
Motion by Walford, second by Ramsey. Do we have does every field get done every year, or is it a schedule?
Sorry. She mentioned some of the purchases may take place out of activity accounts. Some schools want to go a little bit above and beyond the maintenance that's provided by the district. So I think that's why that was mentioned. But yes, there is a schedule, but they are done every year.
Everybody's done every year.
And Mr. Thomas Crew does this work, the buildings and grounds?
Yes, sir.
Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion passes. We'll now move on to agenda item 6C, the monthly general fund update.
For this portion of the evening, I will be presenting the revenues and expenditures for all funds. In the general fund budget, we currently have $63 million in revenues through November 30th, with the majority received from state funding. Yes, can you see that? Very good. Much better. Okay. Much better. So you have $63 million in revenue through November the 30th. Total expenditures for the general fund is $95 million. The next slide will provide a breakdown of these expenditures. For the instruction function, 92% of the expenditures include salary and benefits. $2.19 million was spent in purchased services, which the majority of that was Kelly Services. $1.3 was spent on classroom supplies. There were no additional expenditures in capital outlay or pupil services for the month of November. These are year-to-date numbers. In the support services function for the schools, 92% of expenditures include salaries and benefits at $17.2 million. A total of approximately $1 million was spent on purchased services, $240,000 in supplies, and $227,000 in pupil services. In the support function for the district office, salaries and benefits make up $15.5 million of the expenditures. Purchased services were $10 million, supplies and materials $3.7 million, capital outlay at $1 million, and pupil services were $57,000 through November the 30th. No additional transfers were made in November. Total expenditures for the general fund are $95 million. The special revenue fund has a total revenue of $5.7 million, and this is from state and federal sources. Total expenditures were $8.7 through November 30th, with the majority of expenditures in salaries, benefits, and purchased services. The EIA budget received $9.6 million in revenues through November 30th from state sources and has expended $6.1 million, with the majority of those expenditures in salaries and benefits and purchased services. Our capital projects budget is $18.1 million in revenues, including the $2.9 from carryover. The month of November, $817,000 was expended on ongoing capital projects for a total of $13.5 million through November 30th, 2017. The bond referendum budget is a multi-year budget and includes $59 million of expenditures through November 30th for Berkeley County Education Center, Fox Bank Elementary, and Bowens Corner Elementary. I also want to point out that this slide looks pretty identical to the one last month, but because it includes expenditures and encumbrances, the expenditures went up, but the encumbrances went down, so it's just balancing off with a net effect of 0. Our revenues for the child nutrition budget as of November the 30th is $4.5 million. For the month of November, the largest increases were in salaries and benefits and supplies and materials. All of the budgets presented this evening are in good standing. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Next, we'll move on to Human Resources, 7A, a second and final reading of policies. Dr. Whitley.
Good evening, Board Chair Wofford, members of the Board, Superintendent Ingram. Policy JDE, student expulsions, is being brought to you through Administrative Services for second and final reading. At this time, it is the recommendation of the administration to approve the second and final reading of Policy JDE, student expulsions, as listed under Agenda Item 8A.
Madam Chair Lady, I make a motion to approve the second and final reading of Policy JDE, student expulsions for revision.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Barrow, a second by Mr. McQuillan. Are there any questions or discussion on the second policy reading?
I'd like to make note that the change that we discussed in last board meeting was satisfactory to our liking. And I thank Dr. Gelman and Dr. McLaren for making sure that change was noted.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The policy is passed. We'll move on to 7B.
Thank you. Rule IHA-R, Grading Assessment Systems, is being brought to you through Academic Services for second and final reading. At this time, it is the recommendation of the administration to approve the second and final reading of Rule IHA-R, Grading Assessment Systems, as listed under Agenda Item 8B.
Madam Chair Lady, I make a motion to approve second and final reading of Rule IHA-R, Grading Assessment Systems for revision.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Barrow, a second by Mr. Ramsey. Discussion.
Madam Chair Lady, I do have some discussion and an amendment that I'd like to make. Discussion basically has nothing to do with this policy revision that I think was inevitable because of a state board of education policy that I do not think serves the best interest of our students. Basically, what has happened is that the state board has taken the attendance requirement out of granting either Carnegie Unit Credit or promotion retention. This, I think, is a mistake. I think it does away with the required time on task, which every classroom teacher adores and feels like this is a necessity for students to be in attendance to get the best education, quality education possible. This does away with it. There are no FAs. There are no failures due to absences. Basically, this board is, I think, incumbent upon it to approve what Dr. O'Gorman and his staff has rightly divided, and I think has done an outstanding job. The principals at every level have contributed to this. all of Dr. O'Gorman's staff, the cabinet. I just wanted it to be made aware that I think the attendance of our students is paramount to their success, and the state board has robbed us of that. And I do not think it's in the best interest of us to have to approve it, but approve it we will, because they've done what they have done, and they're not going to change it. But I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But I think that our attendance of our students is going to be drastically affected by this state board change and our subsequent requirement to basically agree with this and fulfill the intent of the state board. So, any other discussion before I make an amendment?
No, sir. Do you have an amendment?
Yes. Upon review of the administration's recommendation for second reading of changes to policy IHA-R, it is my recommendation that we approve the administration's recommendation for second reading with the following amendment to the top of page 8 under the heading Content Recovery, item number 4, which reads, upon satisfactory completion of all assigned work within the time allowed, the certified teacher of record, this is the change, the certified teacher of record will include the recovered work into the final grade to arrive at a new grade for the course based on the district's policy. This amendment will add clarity to ensure that the state law is followed regarding the teacher of record being the only one who may assign or change a grade to a specific course in which a student is enrolled. The administration fully supports this proposed amendment.
There's an amendment by Mr. Barrow, a second by Mr. McClellan. Is there any discussion on the amendment? I agree completely for that clarity. It follows the law. So we will add so this amendment would add the 2 words after teacher of record. Any other discussion? Okay, we'll call the question on the amendment. All in favor of the amendment to add of record after teacher on the top of page 8, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The amendment is passed. Now, if there is any additional discussion on the policy.
Move to call the question.
I'm going. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The second reading is passed.
Thank you.
We'll now move on to agenda item 8A. Gosh, Dr. Ingram, you've been here so long, like 115 days or so. What you been doing?
113 days.
113.
Days 113. Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, board members. First of all, we would like to welcome 2 new members to our staff. More about Katie Orvin in just a minute. But we would like to welcome our new Communications and Community Engagement Officer, Ms. Cicely McCrae, comes to us from the College of Charleston. Cicely, if you'd stand, please. And she's done a great job. She was supposed to shadow Katie tonight, but I'll let you in on that little secret in a minute. And then we have from the television world, Brian Troutman is our digital communications person. Brian, if you'd stand. There he goes. And I would like to add on one of his beginning days, he did a nice spot with, it can't make me look any better, and I didn't break the camera, but Chairwoman Wofford and I did interviews of a recent news event, and Brian did a great job in doing that, and he sent it directly to the TV station. So that's very beneficial to the Berkeley County School District, and we look forward to having them both with us. I would like to shout out to our own Tana Lee for spearheading an effort to include work-based learning opportunities to be included in the accountability model. along with the registered youth apprentice employers. That was really a statewide effort that Superintendent Spearman asked Tana to head up, and that was successful at the EOC meeting yesterday. Was it? I can't remember where we went. Monday, yeah, yesterday. Also, the weekend before, board members Shannon Lee and Dave Barrow and I attended the South Carolina School Board Association conference in Charleston. We had a legislative panel and federal updates. Mr. Barrow gallantly represented the board in the delegate assembly on Saturday afternoon. So I don't guess there's anything you wish to say.
It was very uneventful.
Okay. Well, thank you for that, for casting our 11 votes for us. Last night, the County Council honored Goose Creek High School Beta Club members for their recent participation in a national event held in Orlando. That was very nice to see. Thank you to the County Council for that, Mr. Whitley. Holiday celebrations and programs are in full swing in our schools this week and next week. I invite you to attend one or more of our programs, and please enjoy the plethora of talent that our young people possess. They are so talented, and it's impossible to get to every single one of them, but please, I invite any of you and all of you to attend at least one. This week, probably gaining a lot of weight. Transportation and maintenance holiday luncheons this week, great fellowship food. When you break bread with people, it really helps you build relationships. Winter sports are in full swing. I've taken in a basketball game at Phillips Simmons, and I look forward to visiting the other teams. And please support our student athletes as they compete this winter. We have implemented our clear bag, no bag rule at our winter events. It's been generally well received. I haven't really gotten any major complaints about that. Mr. Jackson tells me that that's gone very well, and I think the communities appreciate our added emphasis on crowd safety. Later this week, I'll be visiting schools to complete my fall evaluation cycles of schools and principals. And by the time we break for the holiday season, I will have completed all fall evaluation visits. So I'm pretty pleased with that schedule. Please note that on January 9th, I believe, we'll be, Madam Chairwoman, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but we'll be switching to committee structure on that day. And as you have mentioned before, we will have our second session with facilitators, Dr. Overstreet and Dr. Johnson, to help us further with our protocol work and 21st century work. So thank you there. And we would like to welcome Stella McKay Orvin to the Berkeley County Schools family. Stella was born at 1:30 this morning. She weighed 6 pounds 4 ounces and is 19.5 inches long. She's a long drink of water. I'm glad to report that mom and daughter are doing well, that Cicely is breathing a little oxygen, but she did very fine. She was supposed to shadow Katie, but ended up being Katie. So thank you for stepping up. The winter holiday for students begins with an early release day on December 21st. Teachers return to school on January 8th. Classes resume the 9th of January. Wish everyone a happy holiday season full of good cheer and high hopes for a productive and prosperous 2018. I would like to call everyone's attention to the poinsettias in front of the podium. There's one for each board member, and if you want to, I guess you could sneak two. I'll let you fight it out with the absent board member. They are compliments of the agricultural department at Timberland High School. Talented kids growing some great plants there, so they send those with their compliments. I do want to recognize and thank the Teacher Forum again. Teachers James Kate, Stratford High School. James, you here tonight? Okay, good. Jan Nutt, Marrington Elementary School. Thank you, Jan, for coming. Rebecca Bridge, Whitesville Elementary. Rebecca, thank you. Dr. Shelley Matthews, Devon Forest. Thank you very much. Sharon, Nick, thank you. Thank you, Nick, for a great report. Those numbers are absolutely correct, and I agree with you 100%. It's not, I think we can recruit people, but the real key is retaining. And it's ironic that some of the statements were made by board members here, and I was really trying to hold in my excitement, but I asked, put Sharon and Nick on the spot a little bit. We're forming a design team that includes principals, and we need teachers on that. And I've asked Nick and Sharon to join that team, and we'll pick another teacher, because innovation really needs to be driven from the school level up. And I'm excited because this board is more than willing to give us direction, permission, and cover to deviate from the standardized memorization test. That's one of the fonder names I call them. I have some other names as well, but we're in public and I won't repeat them. But we can actually give a much better education to our kids if we don't focus on the cookie cutter, standardized testing death march, okay? There are other ways to do that, and we're more interested in what kids can do when they graduate, not just getting them graduated to satisfy a statistic and pushing them out the door. But more about that to come, so I'll stop at that point. And Madam Chairwoman, that completes my report for this evening.
Thank you so much. We'll move now to the board chair report. The first item on the agenda is the Heritage Keepers abstinence education. Is there a motion?
Madam Chairwoman, motion to direct the district's Health Advisory Committee to review the Heritage Keepers abstinence education curriculum and report back to the board.
There's a motion by Mr. Ramsey, a second by Mr. McQuillan. I've actually reviewed the curriculum. It's secular in nature, but it's also excellent, excellent information. We have Tammy Bryant here and also Lisa Kearns, who provided us the information. Thank you for thinking broadly and thinking about our kids. And we're going to move this on after a affirmative vote. I'm hopeful that we'll move this on to the Health Advisory Committee. Do y'all have any comments? Yeah, I would say, yeah. We have the opportunity of having reviewed it, and lots of folks do not. So if you just want to give your just a real brief overview of the curriculum.
Sure. So, Madam Chairwoman and members of the board and Dr. Ingram. So, I'm Tammy Bryan. I'm the Chief Program Officer for Heritage Community Services, which is a national nonprofit that is headquartered here in Berkeley County. And we were founded in 1995, and we developed our own curriculum called Heritage Keepers. And this program has abstinence education, life skills education, and resources for parents. And we've provided our program in districts all across South Carolina. And we've also trained agencies across the United States, in Canada, St. Lucia, and American Samoa. So there are hundreds of thousands of adolescents that are using our program every year. Back in 2011, a third-party evaluator, Dr. Stan Weed, he did a research study of our program and published those results, and it showed astronomically effective behavior change in all of these teenagers. So a year after our program, the program students had initiated sex at a rate 67% lower than non-program students, which is a big deal. And those results were so well documented, and the research design was so good that the U.S. Health and Human Services now recognizes our program as a proven effective teen pregnancy prevention program. The U.S. Health and Human Services has reviewed over 1,000 research studies, and there's only 44 that have been proven to be effective, and ours is the only program that teaches abstinence until marriage on that list. So just a few of the things that are in our program. We teach teens how to determine their personal values and goals and understand how their decisions about any risky behaviors may affect the people, things, and goals that they value. We do discuss anatomy, reproduction, puberty, and sexually transmitted diseases. We discuss the characteristics of healthy relationships, healthy marriages, and how to build relationships without having sex. The students learn how to refute justifications for early sexual activity. We discuss the differences between love, lust, and infatuation. We have the students discuss what type of person they want to date and what type of person they want to marry and what character traits are important to them, and really essentially turn that back on the students to say you have to first be those things. So we really then spend a lot of time developing positive character traits. We discuss the importance of not objectifying others or stereotyping others. And we also have an opportunity for the students to set and state their own personal boundaries when it comes to any kind of risky behavior. So we've had quite a few parents and teachers and principals who are here in Berkeley County that have asked to have our program be one of the approved options for comprehensive health education, and so that's what we're asking for.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions or discussion? Hearing, I'm sorry.
It's used in schools throughout the Low Country. Like I believe Charleston County has this as an available program.
Yes, Charleston County and Dorchester 4 use our program.
So we're the only district in the Tri-County area that doesn't have this program available to teachers.
Yes, sir. And our office is on Clements Ferry, so we would really love to see us in Berkeley County.
Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The motion passes. You'll be now referred to our Health Advisory Committee.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the board chair report, Nick, do you guys have a date in February for the conference yet? Is it set? February 16th. So everyone please put on their calendar February 16th. I'll put a date right there on top. Also, we will be moving to a committee structure in January, and we're working on exactly what that will look like. Presumably right now there will be an executive session first, and then we'll come out and have consecutive committee meetings, and then the other meeting of the month will be more like this, where the committee members, committee chairman will come and bring what was heard in committee. So we're working through that process. So we have the policy and we're working through that process. So we'll be busy over the holidays getting prepped and ready to do that. We had a great workshop, and I talked about that a lot, but spent a lot of time talking about shared values and really focusing on what we need to do to become a very high impact board. We don't want to be status quo. We want to be world renowned. We want to be world class. And we don't want the success of the school district to be limited by the thought process of the school board. So we're doing some work on ourselves to try to facilitate that. But we are looking forward to a lot of the things that Dr. Ingram has going on to bring the ideas from the teachers through the principals up from the schools. So we are very excited. So there will not be another meeting this month, and we will come back on the first day we're back to school. January the 9th will be the first meeting next year. Also very excited about baby Stella. Till after last Tuesday or Thursday, I told Katie, all right, you can have the baby now. So now baby Stella's here. So thank you for all the support. It was a tough week for the board, but I think it was positive, or as positive as it's been in the Post and Courier in a while. A lot of board members did a lot of time and put a lot of time and effort into where we sit now, less than, or I guess, 10 months after some very turbulent things. So thank everybody for the time. We'll now move on to the first executive session. So we will not hold these beautiful people hostage all night long. We're going to have 2 executive sessions tonight. Is there a motion to enter into executive session?
Make the motion.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Ramsey, a second by Mr. McQuillan. This first executive session will be to discuss the pending employment matters, to include the appointment of administrators. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. We are in executive session. We'll now entertain a motion to return from executive session.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion from Mr. McQuillan, a second from Mr. Barrow. I'd like to note for the record that no action was taken in executive session. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. We are now in regular session.
Madam Chairwoman, I would like to make recommendations. I would like to make the recommendation that we name Natalie Locklear as the new principal of Foxbank Elementary, with a contract to take effect on January 16th, 2018.
Second.
Wait. I move to accept the recommendation of the administration to name Natalie Locklear as the principal of Foxbank Elementary School, with a contract to take effect January 16th, 2018.
Second.
There's a motion by Wofford, a second by Conder. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay.
Madam Chairwoman.
I'm happy and I'm sad all at the same time until the next motion.
Madam Chairwoman, board members, I would like to recommend Melissa Willis as the principal of H.E. Bonner Elementary with a contract to take effect January 16, 2018.
I move to accept the recommendation of the administration to name Melissa Willis the principal of H.E. Bonner Elementary with a contract to take effect January 16, 2018.
Second.
There's a motion by Wofford, a second by McQuillan. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. Congratulations, Ms. Willis. Stand up. Ms. Willis told us in executive session, I didn't know she was a student. She was a student at Bonner Elementary School, a first-year teacher at Bonner Elementary School, and is now returning to be the principal. So we are very glad to have her back at Bonner Elementary School.
Madam Chairwoman, board members, I'm pleased to recommend Ms. Amy Fulmer as the new principal of Bowens Corner Elementary School with a contract to take effect officially January 16, 2018.
I made the motion.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Ramsey, a second by Mr. McQuillan, to accept the recommendation of the administration to name Amy Fulmer as the new principal of Bowens Corner Elementary School with a contract to take effect January 16, 2018. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. Welcome. Thank you for taking on the challenge of a new school.
Madam Chairwoman, board members, I'm pleased to recommend Ms. Shawn Wimmer to become the new principal of Westview Elementary School with a contract to take effect January 16, 2018.
Madam Chairwoman, I make the motion to accept the recommendation of the administration to name Shawn Wimmer as the principal of Westview Elementary with a contract to take effect January 16, 2018.
Second.
There's a motion by Ms. Conder, a second by Mr. Ramsey, to name Shawn Wimmer as the principal of Westview Elementary School with a contract to take effect January 16, 2018. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. Congratulations, Ms. Wimmer.
Madam Chairwoman and board members, it pleases me to recommend that we welcome home Ms. Tanisha Johnson to become the assistant principal at Stratford High School with a contract to take effect upon release from Charleston County Schools.
Madam Chairlady, I make a motion to accept the recommendation of administration to name Tanisha Johnson as the assistant principal of Stratford High School with a contract to take effect upon release from Charleston County Schools.
Second. There's a motion by Mr. Barrow, a second by Wofford, to name Tanisha Johnson as the assistant principal of Stratford High School with a contract to take effect upon release from Charleston County Schools. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. Welcome back. We would love to say thank you to all the family members who came to support your new principals and assistant principals, and also the sitting principals who came to support their people. We are so thankful for you helping us bring excellent principals to Berkeley County Schools. Thank you so much. We'll now entertain a motion to return to executive session.
So move.
Second.
There's a motion by Ms. Conder, a second by Mr. McQuillan. The stated purpose of executive session is legal advice related to a contract with Milestone Communications, a discussion of coaching contracts, the discussion of the school resource officer in the St. Stephen area, the discussion of pending employment matters, 2 attendance appeals, and 2 expulsion appeals. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Nay. We are now back in executive session. We'll now entertain a motion to return to regular session.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McQuillan, a second by Mr. Ramsey to return to regular session. I'd like to note that no action was taken in executive session. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Nay. We are in regular session. As action required from executive session, we'll start with legal advice related to the contract with Milestone Communications. Is there a motion?
Madam Chairwoman, I authorize our General Counsel to take necessary action to terminate the marketing agreement between Milestone Tower Limited Partnership 3 and the Berkeley County School District that was signed and executed by former Chief Financial Officer Brantley Thomas on February 10th, 2015.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McQuillan, a second by Mr. Ramsey, to authorize General Counsel to take necessary action to terminate the marketing agreement between Milestone Tower Limited Partnership 3 and the Berkeley County School District that was signed and executed by former Chief Financial Officer Brantley Thomas on February 10th, 2015. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Nay. Next, for agenda item 12C, coach contracts. I make a motion to add a 35-day supplement to head football coach contracts who do not serve as athletic directors, effective for the 2018-2019 school year.
Second.
There's a motion by Wofford, a second by Mr. Ramsey. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Nay. We'll now move on to agenda item 12D, the discussion of the school resource officer contract in the St. Stephen area.
Madam Chairwoman, I move for the reasons discussed in executive session to authorize the superintendent to take necessary action to terminate the contract with the Town of St. Stephen Police Department for the School Resource Officer Program and to enter into a contract with the Berkeley County Sheriff's Department for said services.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McQuillan, second by Mr. Ramsey. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Nay. We'll now move on to agenda item 12F. We'll start with attendance appeals.
Madam Chairwoman, in the matter of student number 1, I move that we grant the attendance appeal.
I second.
Sorry, let me catch up. There's a motion by Mr. McQuillan, a second by Ms. Condor to grant the attendance appeal of student number 1. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Nay.
Nay.
Motion passes.
Madam Chairwoman, in the matter of student number 2, I move that we grant the attendance appeal.
Second. There's a motion by McQuillan, a second by Wofford to grant the attendance appeal of student number 2. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Nay.
Nay.
Motion passes. Now we'll move on to the expulsion appeals for student number 1.
Madam Chair, in the matter of student number 1, I move that we grant the attendance appeal and send the child to the alternative school.
Second. There's a motion by Mr. McQuillan, second by Wofford, to grant the appeal and assign the student to the Berkeley Alternative School. Any discussion?
I do have some discussion on that. I have extensive experience with the alternative program as having served as principal and as hearing officer for several years. I think it's not helpful to put a child in the alternative program, not just because of the number of egregious offenses, behavioral offenses, but as we all know, the alternatives program is very good, but they're also very crowded and limited resources, limited spots. And it's been my experience for students that at mid-year, which we are now currently at mid-year, to assign a student to the alternative program with numerous behavioral issues and passing no credits, no classes whatsoever, with averages of in the 30s and in the 40s. I realize that a child can behaviorally turn around, but it's not helpful to put a child in a program when there's basically very little, almost no hope for that child to actually pass and show proficiency and be promoted under normal circumstances. So that's the reason why I'm going to disagree with this vote if it's in favor of placing the child there.
Any other discussion?
I'll just say I believe in second chances, and I never want to sit up here and say that I have no hope in any students in the Berkeley County School District.
Any other discussion?
I agree with Mr. McQuillan.
I did not imply that there was no hope. It's been my experience through years of experience. Through years of experience, I've said that I don't think that's much hope for that child to show proficiency in all of the areas for passing when they are at 30s and 40s at mid-year. I did not say there was no hope.
Go back and watch the video.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
Student number 2, I make a motion that we grant the appeal and assign the child to the Berkeley Alternative School.
Second.
Motion by Wofford, second by Condor. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Is there any other action as needed from executive session? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McQuillan, a second by Mr. Ramsey to adjourn. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Merry Christmas.